What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going back to the Destiny world with a Solar Titan build that I'm sure you saw from the title. Makes us that invincible sun god, feeling like Luffy out there, the sun god Nika. So we'll get right into this Loreley Splendor build for y'all, absolutely clearing out everything in that GM, staying alive super easily. So starting us off, before we get into our mods, we're going to go over the exotic perk Cauterizing Flame. When you are critically wounded with a full class ability, or when you cast your barricade, create a sunspot at your location that has improved restoration effects. So on top of that, we're going to be using 100 in that resilience and 100 in discipline, because we're going to be using a healing grenade on top of that. So we're trying to get back that shield as often as possible, as well as our grenade. So we're using that to stay alive mostly. Alright, so starting us off for our mods right here, we're going to have the dual solar strand siphon, which allows us to get those orbs of power on all of our weapons. We're going to be using hands-on so we can get our super back with that bonk hammer kills, as well as powerful friends right here to spread that love of armor charge. Now on our arms, importantly, we're going to be using double impact induction, so when we get all of those damage hits with our powered melee and that bonk hammer, we're going to get our healing grenade back quickly, as well as one focusing strike, so we can get back our class ability as well. Now, on to the chest piece. I was taking this into a GM where there is a lot of Void and Solar going on, so that is why I threw on these resistant mods. Totally up to you, whatever you're going into. Now, for the legs, as well as the class item, we're using Time Dilation, as well as Weapon Solar Surge right here, so we can get that nice 17% increase to solar weapon damage, which we're using our heavy as well as a pulse rifle, and this will just have us have that up even longer with bomber. So every time that we cast our ability with our shield, we're going to get some of our grenade energy back. Now when we move on to the weapons that we're going to be using, first off, we got Scatter Signal, Overflow Controlled Burst with the Adhortative with Heal Clip Incandescent. This will help with that solar synergy, spreading Scorch, as well as that Heal Clip, giving us some nice cure on top of what we're getting already from Loreley and the build that we have. Last but certainly not least, the Dragon's Breath. Love this thing. High octane pyromancer, so it ejects that burning fuel, which we can stack up with the other mods that we have on this rocket here. So definitely very good for that solar synergy and that endgame content. When we move into our artifact right here, we're going to be using Overload Pulse that we have on that Adhortative. Next off, Flame Fiber and Freeze combines that solar strand. That is that dual siphon that we had on our helmet. Next, importantly right here, we have Kindling Trigger and Flint Striker. Flint Striker, rapid solar weapon precision hits, and solar weapon final blows grant us Radiant, which is super nice for that extra little bit of damage. Plus, when we are Radiant, because the Kindling Trigger causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched targets. On top of that, because we have Torch right here, while Radiant, deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by Strand or Stasis, which will help us because we are using that Strand Fusion, and we're going to be able to apply the debuff of Unraveling because of this perk right here with Unraveling Orbs, as well as this Horde Shuffle. We can create some Threadlings as well. Next off, we're going to be using Heart of the Flame. Casting your solar super grants nearby allies Radiant and increases damage for your super for each nearby ally. Revitalizing Blast, when we use our bonk hammer on those bosses or champions, it'll weaken them for a short period, as well as raise the precision, while Radiant Solar Precision Final Blows cause combatants to ignite. So nice for that solar synergy, as well as stunning those unstoppable champions if they're close by that ignition. Now, when we move on to our subclass, we're going to be using Hammer of Soul with Towering Barricade, Strafe Lift, and our Bonk Hammer. Now, we are going to be using Healing Grenade for that endgame content, keeping us alive with Restoration and Cure. On top of that, Roaring Flames, Final Blows with Solar abilities or Ignitions increase the damage of our solar abilities, stacking up to ×3, so that Bonk Hammer doing even more damage. Soul Invictus, on top of that, we're going to be creating even more of those sunspots around with our solar ability final blows and hammer of soul impacts and defeating scorched targets. So when we are in these sunspots, we get that restoration, plus our abilities regen faster or our super drains more slowly. So sunspots still OP, even though they definitely got a little bit of nerf this season earlier in one of the sandboxes. Still very, very good, especially when you pair it with Loreley Splendor. When we move on to our fragments, Ember of Torches helping us to become radiant on top of what we have on our artifact, as well as Ember of Solace, so that radiant restoration lasts even longer, which we are getting those everywhere from our grenade, from our Loreley Splendor, as well as even Heal Clip gives us that cure. On top of that, Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant, which helps to makes us really, really hard to kill because we are continuously getting those defeats with solar weapons, which just keeps proccing radiant as well as restoration, which finally we are using Ember of Searing, defeating scorched targets, grants us melee energy, and we pick up fire sprites. Fire sprites are important because they give us grenade energy, so we can use more of the healing grenades. But this build, like I said, it is that unstoppable sun god Nika, just like Luffy has inside of him with his devil fruit. This thing keeps you alive in basically all type of content. GMs, I was getting slapped around all willy-nilly like by those phalanxes with the throwback shields, but we were able to stay alive because of our helmet, as well as all the other things that we have proccing with our grenade, with heal clip on our gun, those sunspots. So a lot going on with this build. Very easy for anyone to go in and use it, and it is very, very effective. So hopefully y'all got this helmet in your vault somewhere. If not, go out and grind out those lost sectors when it's helmet day. Go to those Vex incursions around, or hopefully you just get a nice drop with this from one of those events that we have. So thank you guys again for that support. Truly, truly appreciate y'all. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.